bay-westfield.com. In this video, I'd like to talk about putting yourself in the position of the buyer, and you're buying a home and you've seen a few and you fall in love with one after being through it probably a couple of times, and then you write the offer, it gets accepted. Now what happens? Well, there's a lot of what we call conditions in the offer, and I just want to talk a bit about what those conditions are and getting them satisfied so that the deal can proceed. One would be the building inspection. We recommend you get a professional. I mean, you can use a family member if you'd like, something like that, but if you get a professional, they're about $400 with tax, and the building inspector, the home inspector, will go through the house and make sure that there isn't anything in that house that you haven't seen that could be a problem. And what happens if there is a problem? It normally gets worked out with the seller. The seller will do the work, or what I always recommend is maybe the buyer negotiates a little bit lower price and then takes care of the work at their expense after closing. And so the building inspection is done. You have to call your insurance company. They're going to want to know things about the house. You would tell them, and then they would send a letter saying that you can get insurance when the property does close and you own it. If it's on a well, you'll need a water test, and there's a few companies that do that around town so that the buyer doesn't handle the water at all, because we don't want any liability on the part of the buyer. So we let a third party take care of the water test. Around town, they're about $50. And the property disclosure form, which normally is filled out by the seller, and it's a history of the property when they first list the property. You want to see that, and it gives you a nice history of the property since the seller's owned it, and you have to make sure everything's okay on that. To the best of the seller's knowledge is what they'll fill out, and that's one of the conditions of sale too. And then there's a balance of deposit, which in this part of the world normally is 5% of the purchase price, held in trust till closing by the listing company, and that's your money as a buyer, and the lawyers will know where that is on closing. So those are probably the biggest conditions that get removed. And if you have any other questions, you can reach me anytime at homes@bay-westfield.com.